to this now. Employers are becoming increasingly concerned that many workers are not taking leave. The lockdown has seen workers cancel their winter leave. As a result, companies are faced with the challenge of accumulated unused leave, which presents a financial risk. So to look at this development, we speak to Aadil Patel, Director and National Head of commercial law firm Cliff Decker Hofmeier's employment practice. Aadil, thanks very much indeed for talking to us. So understandably, holidays were put on hold, plans changed and leave cancelled. It seems like it's a very natural thing to do during the lockdown. But what's the impact of this?
From an employment perspective, the lockdown should have no material impact on the leave. The fact that people are unable to go away and have adopted what is now called a staycation should not be an issue for employers. Historically, what used to happen was, if you did not take your leave within a certain period of time, and depending on your policies and procedures, leave would be forfeited. What employees are doing is storing that leave and hopefully telling the employer, oh, I'm unable to take leave, and as a result of that, I'm not going to take leave. The concept of leave is simply the ability to rest. It is not the ability to go away to a particular place or to go on holiday. It is simply there for you to rest. If you do not believe that you can rest in lockdown, well, certainly that is an employee's issue. From an employer's perspective, the fact that employees are not taking leave is simply increasing its financial burden. It needs to cater for that leave in its financial statements. It decreases profits and may potentially result in further retrenchments. What employers are doing is saying, well, we understand that the law allows us for you to forfeit your leave, but that's too long ago. What we are going to do in terms of the Basic Conditions of Employment Act, and in terms of our right, whether you can go overseas, whether you can go to the coast, we are instructing you to take your leave, your statutory leave, which is set out in the Basic Conditions of Employment Act, and that's basically 15 working days. Should you fail to do so, you will lose that leave. And it's an understandable response, because the accumulation of leave creates a massive burden, financial burden, on employers.
And if I can come in there, Aadil, if I can just interject, and one understands why, because employees may very well just go on this cashing in exercise that will draw all the money from the employer. But if you look at the very unique circumstances of this lockdown and the COVID-19, people were not mobile, and even though the restrictions are lifted, there's so much catching up to do. Do you think that from an employer's perspective, we've got to have a little bit more sort of leeway in terms of actually allowing people to sort of hold on that leave until a particular time? Because these are extraordinary circumstances, are they not?
I completely agree with you. And if I was an employee, I'd certainly argue from your perspective. But given the global economic crisis, given what's happening with COVID-19, given the lockdown, we need to reduce our financial burden on corporations. We cannot, so employees can only cash in when they leave our employee. There is not enough work at the moment, given the lockdown, given COVID. We cannot be expected, employers cannot be expected, even with government funding, to allow employees to be paid either through the UIF TERS fund or through the employer's own pocket, and yet still be accruing and accumulating leave something's got to give, because if we don't resolve this particular issue, it's going to come back in years to bite. It reduces our profit, it reduces the viability of an organization, and we're already seeing retrenchments within various sectors. And if we don't resolve the small issue, it may potentially result in that. And the concept of leave, in terms of the Basic Conditions of Employment Act and in terms of government, is not the ability to go away to the coast or to go overseas. It's the ability to sit at home or to simply rest without having the burden of having to work. And if that is the case, COVID-19, the lockdown, should be irrelevant.
Let me ask you then, in that sense, Aadil, before I let you go, in the past 2 or 3 months during the lockdown, have people legally accrued leave as they would normally have done in any other circumstances? In other words, have they actually had 1 or 2 leave days added on to their bulk, or have they not?
Oh, yes, they have. And just to give you how government has come to the party to assist both employers and employees. It said to employers, in the event that you are unable to pay your employees, allow them to take annual leave. When you get money back from the UIF TERS fund, you credit the value of the money you got back to the employee's credit. Something's got to give, and this is an equitable balance. So you're accumulating leave, you're taking leave, and when government gives you money, we're crediting leave. And as it stands on the 13th of June 2020, the TERS fund is going to end at the month of June 2020. So government's not going to be able to assist employers and employees after that. And you are going to see in the months of July and August, employers forcing employees to take leave as the economy slowly opens up, but the amount of money within the economy, the amount of customers within the economy are not at levels pre-lockdown. So we cannot have employees sitting within an organization and not being productive. We need to have an equitable balance.
That's a bit of a sobering forecast there for the next 2 months as this TERS ends its assistance there. Thanks very much indeed. Aadil Patel is the Director and National Head of Commercial Law Firm Cliff Decker Hoffmeyer's Employment Practice. On to this.